For those that don't want to wait till the end of the video, don't get this as your open air PC test bench. Now for those who want a bit more, let's take a look at the IKEA of test benches, mistakes included. Let's talk about the pros. It is 16.6 by 9.8 inches and it weighs 1.37 kilograms. The adjustable standoffs mean it can support most motherboards that is ATX, Mini ATX, and ITX motherboards and is able to hold the weight of the newer triple fan cards. I didn't try to screw on the power supply on the side. I don't have a spare power supply to try, but I'm sure there shouldn't be any problems. You can always just place the power supply to the side. If you do decide to use it, just don't over tighten the screws as the power supply holder is made of acrylic and over tightening may crack it. It also has two L-shaped corner fittings to install a SSD or hard disk drive, but don't install it like in the photos if you want your disk drive to last. It uses PCIe columns for PCIe cards. It's actually a little bit weighty, and the aluminum frames and metal screws remind me of a skyscraper under construction. It seemed stable even when only installing a few screws into the standoffs since I didn't want to spend time repositioning all the standoffs. I didn't find any do-it-yourself fun, but I can confirm the structure is very firmly. It was nicely packed and it even came with these white gloves. I was not expecting to receive gloves. Unfortunately, they're too small, thin, and poorly made, but they're free, so that's not a big deal. More confusing than anything. It came with switches, but it is faster to use a screwdriver to power the PC, and all the cool PC enthusiasts use a screwdriver. You don't have to though. Plus, for the switches, it includes a reset switch and LED lights to show if the motherboard is actually being powered, if there are no other LED lights or signals to show power is being supplied to your board. You don't need to have a degree from Harvard in engineering to build this. Only tool you need is a Phillips head screwdriver, no Bluetooth socket wrench or electric bolt turner that tells the time. This model came with instructions, but I saw other vendors selling the same model where people who bought from other vendors did not receive instructions. Though you don't really need them, it's pretty intuitive. Can you get an old PC and chop it up? Sure, but this one is red and shiny. You can build this yourself, or for one whole quarter you can get your kid brother to build it for you. Now the cons. Now I want to make one thing clear. I did forget to measure the bar's spacing the first time and had to readjust the spacing, so that is my own fault. It is really annoying to put together though. It's not the fact that it's difficult to put together, but the amount of mistakes that will be made putting things in the wrong way, but that kind of stuff comes with this kind of ready to assemble stuff. It's the screws. If one of the standoffs is loose and it comes undone, you have to take the whole thing apart. The measuring tool to reposition the standoffs is literally a piece of cardboard, but you'll find yourself using the motherboard and making micro adjustments to get the standoffs aligned flush. And if you're like me, you don't have a lot of time to spare. You'll only do it for a couple of standoffs and not bother with the rest, just leaving it right under where the standoff screws would be. It is too expensive for something that's just a few metal bars and fasteners. For $111.15 Canadian, before taxes, you think it would come with a cup holder at least, or a caviar dispenser. Even if you find a vendor selling it cheaper, it is still unreasonably priced. The cheap gloves and the piece of cardboard seems to be a last minute addition due to lack of foresight and to try to explain the cost. It also makes it feel cheap. I know they're supposed to help, but I can't help but feel like I'm being had somewhere. The cardboard doesn't do a great job lining the standoffs accurately enough, as you'll have to make 1,000 micro adjustments to get the standoffs to align perfectly with the motherboard. The cardboard feels like an inexpensive solution to their problem and not something you would see in a finished product. Most of the time, building this will be fixing mistakes and adjusting the standoffs. And again, I did film this 2 in the morning, so that probably didn't help. If you are using an AIO, there isn't anywhere to install that. Now, some of you may be wondering, do you need case fans for a test bench? No, you don't need fans for an open test bench, but a fan pointing at it can help. There's also nowhere to install case fans if you wanted though. I don't see why there wouldn't be, since I could think of several ways you could incorporate that easily, as well as similar test benches on Amazon do this. There are also other versions of this test bench that do have attachments for case fans. But then again, this isn't a huge deal since this is a test bench and case fans aren't necessary. I would also not use this as a permanent PC build since your PC is now scantily clad. Parts will be just hanging out in the open and the GPU may droop forward a bit for larger models. And I have not tested nor would like to test prolonged exposure to drooping. Not only is this thing overpriced, but it was not fun to work with. Now don't get me wrong, this thing works and looks nice. That's as far as compliments go. The reason why I got this was because the convenience of it being on Amazon and it looked nice. Also, didn't want to pay US shipping fees on what were probably better open frame test benches. I didn't want to do it yourself a test bench. Then again, there was a vendor selling it for slightly cheaper, but to make sure I wasn't missing out on the complete experience, I went for the slightly higher price case. If you were to get this, I would go for the cheaper one as there is probably no significant difference. Obviously, I did not do a proper job looking for a proper test bench, but my train of thought was get the one I know everyone looking for a starter bench will buy and then purchase a proper one in the future. I thought why not do a review others will relate to. I really gave this thing a chance, but it was troublesome to work with. Maybe you had a better time with it than me, but a product should be customer proof. And I have some experience under my belt working with Lego, Connects, Mega Bloks, and ready to assemble furniture. As for the reviews, it looked to me they were a mixed bag of reviews for the other models the vendor sells, including the one I bought, so I couldn't filter which reviews were for this particular model, but in general the reviews were of mixed opinions. That's why it doesn't pain me to give this thing a 5 out of 10. Now you might think that's much higher than you thought it would be, but that's based on the rubric I came up with for it to be more fair. My overall recommendation is to not purchase this as a test bench. It just feels like it isn't there yet as an official product and has a lot of room for improvement. If you really like it and really want to get it, then go for it. But in my opinion and my experience with this product, I would not recommend this if you value your time, and especially when I believe there are better options out there. For slightly more money, you can get a more user-friendly model. It's definitely worth it if you work with a lot of PCs and value your time. If you are gonna go for anything, try this one from Open Bench Table. JayzTwoCents covers it in one of his videos. I'll leave a link to it below, or you could go for this flat one, which is significantly cheaper, or anything else. I haven't tried them, but they look like they don't come with the problems I had with the one covered in this video. Thank you for sticking till the end, and let me know how your experience was with this test bench if you did decide to buy this one, or if you have any recommendations on something better. It really helps others who are in the process of looking for their own test bench. Leave a like and subscribe if you would like to see more of this sort of content and would like to stay in the tech of things.